Here he is, the man of the moment, our very own, not Man Friday, but Van Friday. Van Connery joins us each and every Friday with 1, 2, 3 Freeview film recommendations for the weekend. Halloween's on the way, so I'm sure he's chosen at least one horror film. I know I have, because I see Van's three matching with three not quite as good alternatives. Good morning, Van. Thanks for doing this for us, matey. Now, have you been immersing yourself in London Film Festival type screenings?
Oh, but you know what? I've not had the chance to get to the biggies because they've jacked their prices up for the press this year. So as an act of protest, a lot of us have been abstaining. I've been one of them, but yeah, I will be honest. I'm missing out on Killers of the Flower Moon, though. I love a bit of Scorsese, the LFF. That's my crack of the LFF, to be fair.
And let me ask you: have you seen The Great Escaper, the Michael Caine film? Because I've seen some reviews of it, but I've yet to meet anybody who's seen it. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it. I was really looking at it. No, there was nothing other than live in-person screenings on one afternoon for that one. So, yeah, kind of had to miss out.
I think I'll be adding it to my list of Michael Caine films I will see on the big screen. I'll get around to it eventually. And of course, Van does, with his pal Adam, an off-screen podcast, which is available from 8 o'clock this morning. They'll be talking about the film festival and he'll give us details on that after we get his Freeview film pick, starting with, well, where are you starting this week, Van?
Well, I'm starting with that rarity that is a Guy Ritchie sequel. I mean, he's not done any of them, really, other than this one, which was Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows in 2011, which reunited him with Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes and Jude Law's John Watson. This time, adding into the mix, you had Stephen Fry as Mycroft Holmes,
yeah,
and you had Jared Harris, brilliantly cast Jared Harris, as Moriarty, alongside it's a bevy of European stars as well. And so it's an adaptation of A Game of Shadows, and it's the version that, well, you'd only get to do if Guy Ritchie did. I've got a clip for you, and this will be Mycroft. This will be Stephen Fry's Mycroft being introduced into the mix during John Moriarty's Stag Do. So have a listen. This is on 5-star tonight at 9 o'clock. So have a listen. This is good fun, this one.
It's crackers. Well, Mycroft is in the books, and he's Sherlock Holmes' smarter but lazier older brother. Here we go. It's Mycroft saying hello to the gang.
I see your bootmaker is ill, dear brother.
As I detect that you have recently changed the brand of soap with which you shave.
May I point out that the chimney in the front room at Baker Street is still in need of a damn good sweeping out?
You're aware that the hackney carriage by which you arrived had a damaged wheel?
Yes, the left. And it's plain to the meanest intelligence that you have recently acquired a new bow for your violin.
Same bow, new strings.
And may I deduce that you, who rarely strays from the path that runs from your home to the Diogenes Club, and never on a Monday, when they serve your favourite potted shrimps, must be here for some far more important reason than my stag party.
You know, he's nothing like as slow-witted as you've been leading me to believe, Shirley.
I mean, it was a great cameo there by the fantastic Stephen Fry. The fact he calls him Shirley is a testament to the scriptwriters, and the fact he can get away with that and deliver that brilliantly. That is an absolute cracker, that film, as is my first recommendation. I mentioned my horror pick of the weekend. Well, I think I've got two this weekend. I know you've got one on the way. Mine is on tonight. It's a brilliant film called Get Out from 2017. It's been described as a kind of psychological race horror film. It's far more than that. It's basically about, I think it's about class. It's about the kind of nagging fears and suspicions of modern society. And above all, it's something, if your instincts tell you to get out of somewhere, get out. Which is what Daniel Kaluuya thinks the minute he turns up at this very white bread kind of wasp suburb in somewhere undefined or upstate New York type place with his white girlfriend, and the parents are odd, but not unwelcoming, just odd, and things get odder. And from the very beginning, there's he's asked for ID by the sheriff, and people are looking at him, and he suddenly notices that he's just about the only black person around until a black person turns up, and that doesn't end well either. It's a very good, very chilling, and I must say at times quite extreme horror film, this one. I think it's fair to say this is a game changer, this film. Do you think, Van?
It absolutely is, and I remember very fondly being sat in that studio with you on Oscar night. Yeah. You, me, and Rebecca Perfect, sat around waiting for the Oscar noms to come in, and this movie had so many things going for it, and it was such a deserving candidate because it had come out so early in the previous year that we didn't think it would get considered, and then he sort of did at the last minute. And I think I'd just come back from New York where they were doing the promo marketing for his new one, which was Us, which we're going to talk about like shortly anyway. And it was so weird that like we'd barely given an Oscar to the first one when we were already starting to hype up, as the studio started to hype up the second one. And what a time, like Jordan Peele, like what a debut for like writer-director that was. That was an incredible time.
It's a great film. It's on 9:30 tonight on BBC 3, which you may not know. It's been shown earlier this week as well, I think, BBC 2. BBC 3 tonight, 9:30. It's Get Out. It's an absolute cracker. Here's a chunk of the trailer. Even this is creepy.
So you guys coming up from the city?
Yeah, we're just heading up for the weekend.
Can I see your license, please?
He wasn't driving.
I didn't ask who was driving. I asked to see his ID.
Call me Dean and hug me, my man.
So how long has this been going on, this thing? We hired Georgina and Walter to help care for my parents. When they died, I couldn't bear to let them go.
Do you smoke in front of my daughter?
I'm gonna quit.
She'd take care of that for you.
How?
Hypnosis.
I'm good, actually.
You ready for this?
How bad can it be?
So look, I go do my research. Apparently, a whole bunch of brothers been missing in this suburb. But it's cool. Bro, how you not scared of this, man?
Whoa, it's a slow build, but it's worth the journey, worth the wait, and blimey child, is it frightening? So that's my second recommendation. Where are you taking us next on our weekend cinematic perambulation, Van Connor?
Do you know, I'm taking you back to my second year of uni. It's 2007. It's the fall season. It's semester one. What do you go and see with your Cineworld Unlimited card in that 4-hour gap between seminars? Why, of course, you go and see Greg Matolla's then very buzzy, very zeitgeisty, Superbad.
Oh, yes.
Starring Jonah Hill and Michael Cera and this young guy named Christopher Mintz-Platz that apparently has a decent soundtrack. Now, I, myself and my sort of colleagues at uni, my people in my course, in my year, my friends, etc., we saw this movie a lot. It's a staple. This was, to my uni years, what American Pie was to my high school ones. It's such an absolutely brilliant movie. It's the debut feature that's written and directed by both Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. Seth Rogen, you know from On Screen. Evan Goldberg is his best friend who's off screen. Basically the Michael Cera stand-in. In reality, they were the Jonah Hill and Evan Goldberg of this movie. And it's it's After Hours, it's Trojan War, it's so many other movies fold into one. But it's this great odyssey of just two best friends in high school on their last night out of the year, the last night out senior year, trying to make it to the big party whilst retaining the street cred of being the beer hookup. You know what I mean? Even it's not really about that, but ostensibly it's kind of about that. There's more to it. There's cops played by Bill Hader and Seth Rogen. There's McLovin.
Yep.
There's gang wars. There's all sorts in this. But you know what I mean, Paul, because you've seen it, and this is a one-of-a-kind movie. You gotta see it. It's on BBC One, 10:25 on Saturday night. Oh my, if you've never seen it, sit down and watch it. Just order a pizza, get some beers in, sit down and watch this, and you'll come back, you'll subscribe to this show and thank us because you'll owe us forever.
And you get that warm fuzzy glow that only McLovin can bring you, won't they?
Exactly. I tell you something. I buy you know what I'm like as a film fan. I buy logo t-shirts online from all around the world, but I bought a McLovin driver's license t-shirt in Target in America, 2 years ago, and I wear that to Tesco on any random day, and the number of times I get stopped and people talk about the t-shirt tells you how awesome Superbad is. So, Saturday night, 10:25, BBC One, honour the t-shirt. Honor McLovin. Superbad, ladies and gentlemen. I will pass you over to the driver's license speech, the clip we have to play.
The rest is silence.
Yo, guys. What's up? Bubba, where have you been, man? You almost gave me a goddamn heart attack. Let me see it. You out or what?
No, man, I got it. It's flawless. Check it.
Hawaii. All right, that's good. It's hard to trace, I guess. Wait, you changed your name to McLovin? McLovin? What kind of a stupid name is that, Fogel? What, are you trying to be an Irish R&B singer?
Oh, they let you pick any name you want when you get down there.
And you landed on McLovin.
Yeah, it was between that and Muhammad.
Why the would it be between that or Muhammad? Why don't you just pick a common name like a normal person?
Muhammad is the most commonly used name on earth.
Fogle, have you ever actually met anyone named Muhammad?
Have you actually ever met anyone named McLovin?
Good question, of course, although one of the problems with being called Mohammed and using your ID to buy beer is most Muslims, as far as I'm aware, swerve the alcohol, do they not? They've not thought that through. It's a great... Listen, let me ask, before we move on to my second recommendation, where do you stand on the vexed question of Napoleon Dynamite? A film I love, but I know that for some people it does the super bad job. Others, it's real Marmite. They don't like it.
I like Napoleon Dynamite, but no, I'm sorry, Superbad is better.
Oh, yeah.
Superbad is Napoleon Dynamite done better.
Marvellous stuff. Okay, then my second recommendation, I've mentioned it before, I make no apologies for returning to it again. It's on ITV4 tomorrow night, 10 o'clock. One of the great Second World War films of all time, certainly one of the great tank movies of all time. Not there's a huge amount of competition.
Yeah.
It's called Fury. It's from 2014, directed by and written by David Ayer. He wanted to make Suicide Squad, but also he wrote Training Day, so this man's got serious kind of writing and directing chops. The cast is amazing. Brad Pitt, Michael Pena, Sheila Burf, John Bernthal, one of my favourite actors, and also Logan Lerman's in it as well. The setup can be... It's a kind of Saving Private Ryan feel to it. You've got the tank corps, the tank crew who've lost a member. Basically, his face has been shot off him. He's left in the tank. It's a horrible scene that in the very beginning of the film. Very violent, very bloody. They get a new recruit in. He's not even been to tank school. Of course, he hasn't. Baptisms of fire ensue. It's very brutal. At times very unpleasant, and you get an insight into what war does to men and women, which is something that you can read about. When you actually see it acted brilliantly by the likes of Brad Pitt, who's brilliant in this film, it really does give you kind of pause for thought. And it's just a remarkable film. I must have seen this film half a dozen times at the very least, and it's always exciting, and I always wish a couple of different choices were made by the crew members, which means I'm still immersed in the film. It's on 10 o'clock tomorrow night, ITV4. If you record it, download it, or whatever, you can whiz through the ad breaks. There are too many of them for my liking on Channel 4, but it's an absolute cracker, this film. I mean, we've spoken about it in the past, man. I think what's great about this film is I didn't mind Inglourious Bar Stewards, and I quite like Saving Private Ryan, but they both had a streak of sentimentality and a kind of, no, not cowardice is the wrong word, but they kind of swerved certain key issues. This film doesn't. I mean, there's a scene near the end, folks. They're rolling through Germany, and the Germans, everyone knows the war's over, except the Nazis keep fighting. And they turn up at a town where they find the bodies of 13, 14, 15-year-old boys who've been hanged from lampposts because they wouldn't fight. And a certain kind of payback ensues, which I think is, probably be unacceptable under the Geneva Convention, but is, blimey Charlie, very satisfying to watch, is it not, Ben?
I think so as well, and I think it's kind of weird when you look at the 2010s as a decade of cinema, and you look at the depiction of war, and we kind of shied away from it. So you look at, for instance, Fury, and Fury comes alongside, for instance, Dunkirk and 1917, which are a lot more narratively driven World War II movies. Like, we were noticeably less concerned with the experience of war. You didn't get a Private Ryan. We've got a concept thriller during a war. And that was very telling as to where the decade was. We want to do war, but we want to have a point to the war. We don't want the experience of war, which I think is the big takeaway of, like, war in cinema of the 2010s, definitely.
Cracking film, it's Fury. It's tomorrow night, ITV4, 10 o'clock. Here we go.
Ideals are peaceful. History is violent.
Wait till you see it.
See what?
What a man can do to another man.
I'm scared. I'm scared too.
It will end soon, but before it does, a lot more people gotta die.
Well, we do get $1.35 a day, right?
Best job I ever had.
Best job I ever had.
Best job I ever had.
They're coming.
How many?
300 of them. There's 5 against 300.
We never run before. Why are we gonna run now?
We're still in this fight. Still in this fight. Now.
And very strange, almost completely unpredictable moments of compassion shown in the film as well. It's a remarkable film, this one, I think. And my final film is, well, one of the most successful horror films, certainly the 1970s. It entered the culture to such an extent that when Del Boy was having a baby with his beloved other half, and when they learnt we're going to call it Damien, then Rodders was rather upset by this. He thought maybe the spawn of Satan was going to be showing up in the Trotter household. It is, of course, The Omen from 1976. And what makes this film work, I think, is you've got real Hollywood A-list cast. You've got real gravitas. Gregory Peck. What better man to play their kind of, an ambassador. Fantastic cast. Lee Remick's in it. Some great, David Warner, one of the great Hamlets of his generation, is in it. And he meets a sticky end. Basically, a child is born, not when a child is born like Johnny Mathis, a child you don't want in your house. It's a kind of cuckoo in the nest. And it more increasingly seems that possibly, just possibly, of course he is, he's the son of Satan. It's a great film, this one. It's on, I'm sure you've seen it. If you have seen it and you start watching it for 10 minutes, you'll be hooked till the very end, I'm sure. It's on BBC 2, 10 minutes to 11, Sunday night, The Omen. Not a lot more to say apart from enjoy it. And Damien, it's all for you.
For generations, the Thorns have been a family of tremendous wealth, position, and power. The perfect marriage of Ambassador Robert Thorne and his wife Catherine was fulfilled by the birth of their son, Damien. And then, when the child was 5 years old, something terrible happened. And then, it happened again. Was it an accident? Was it murder? Was it a coincidence? Or was it an omen?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
I mentioned class. The fact you've got Darth Vader, James Earl Jones, voicing the trailer says a lot about that film. Richard Donner directed, of course, who made the Superman film with Christopher Reeves. So that's my final recommendation. 10 minutes to 11, Sunday night, BBC 2. Again, a nice way to kind of count down to Halloween. And you've also got horror style, but the film that's on before The Omen, I think, on BBC 2.
I think so. I've got Us, which is at 9 o'clock on Sunday night on BBC Two, and you picked Get Out on Friday night by Jordan Peele, which is that was at 9:30 on BBC Three. So you can go from 9:30 BBC on Friday night to 9 o'clock BBC Two on Sunday night and catch his follow up to that, which I think is like. I've equated to his career as being in the vein of something like Shyamalan when you look at the first three, when you look at the Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, signs of it. With Jordan Peele, you get Out, Us, them. And I do think that Us is a really underrated movie. It's very much a Twilight Zone, what we would now call a Black Mirror episode. And it's a movie that I equate to my experiences as dealing with Americans. Like, I feel there was an atmosphere to being part of the ad campaign on the American side that we simply did not get here. And it was a whole different thing where I was in New York in 2019. They had the subway split down the middle, like decorating wise, as if you were Tommy Lee Jones in Batman Forever, as if you were Two-Face, where half of it was like the good side of humanity and the other half was the bad side. And this deals with Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke as the parents taking their kids on holiday to an Airbnb lodge and running face to face with their dark opposites. I don't want to say more than that because to do so to quote the late great Alan Frank, to do more would just be to spoil the film. And I'm aware that was his alibi for napping during a movie, but I'm using it for actual reasons. I don't want to say more than that. It's people facing their dark halves. It is the dark half, but not quite. It is the Jordan Peele version of that. So I'll give over to a clip. This is Lupita Nyong'o talking to her husband, Winston Duke. This is the good version of them. And this is her explaining why some things just don't feel right in the world. So you can see this, as I say, 9 o'clock, BBC Two, Sunday night. It's the best time to watch this. It could be over by 11. It's like a 90-minute film. This definitely be over by 11. Like, perfect Sunday night horror movie, I think.
Marvellous stuff. It is Us, of course. It's on BBC Two, Sunday night, just before The Omen. Here we go.
You know how sometimes things line up?
Yeah.
Like coincidences. Since we've been here, they've been happening more and more. I feel like it means like she's getting closer.
Who? The mirror girl?
You don't believe me?
I do. I do. I'm processing. Okay? Just can't believe you kept all this inside for so long. You know I'm here, right?
Oh, I'd process faster if I were you, mate. So, I mentioned off screen your podcast with your pal Adam. What's in store for this week at 8 o'clock? People can download it, I think, from their normal app store, their normal provider.
You know, we're actually taking a week off this week because we had a fat week last week and we got a fat week next week. So with the strikes and everything, we're having a thin one this week. So next week we get to come back, we get to do Scorsese, we get to do horror, we get to do the works.
Great stuff, and 6 recommendations between me and Van Connor for you, for your delectation this weekend. It's me, Paul Ross, on talkSPORT and talkRADIO with Van Connor, and we're live till 5. Well, and Van can go to bed now.